So in this video, I'm going to be highlighting an investment that I've been in for a while now. It is the index fund VOO, however you want to say it. And I've covered S&P 500 index funds tons of times on this channel. I'll link some videos down below, but of course don't watch them until you have watched this video. Now the reason I'm putting such a spotlight on this specific index fund that I own is because about all the assets I own, whether it be stocks or REITs or other individual companies, I actually have the most money in this fund. Now before I show you that fund, just in case you're not aware of what an S&P 500 index fund is or an index fund is in general, essentially an index fund allows you to taste all these different stocks for a very low price. And unless you're someone like Jeff Bezos, you definitely don't have the money to be able to buy all 500 companies. So what an index fund allows you to do is diversify your investment by putting it all into this fund. And so the actual managers of that fund actually invest that money for you, and they distribute the profits from their investments to the shareholders. Now there's tons of different index funds out there. That are some that are not even index funds, that don't even cover a specific index, but rather track a market of bonds, a market of real estate, etc. The only thing you have to be careful about is making sure that you're investing in a fund that has a good track history. They have a long history of actual gains, and the chart does look like a bullish chart overall. And you also want to be careful about the fact that these funds do come with expense ratios. Basically, this ratio is a fee that you pay annually, a percentage of your portfolio, sort of as a commission to the managers for managing this portfolio for you. Even Warren Buffett himself, the multi-billionaire prominent investor, says that he cannot beat the S&P 500 and says that one of the best investments you can make over anything else is investing in a low-cost S&P 500 index fund.
Of all the things that have happened since 1942, we've had 14 presidents, 7 Republicans, 7 Democrats. We've had world wars. We had 9/11. We had the Cuban Missile Crisis. We have all kinds of things. The best single thing you could have done on March 11th, 1942, when I bought my first stock, was just buy an index fund and never look at a headline, never think about stocks anymore, just like you would do if you bought a farm. You just buy the farm and let the tenant farmer run it for you. And the only thing you had to really believe in then is that America would win the war and that America would progress as it has ever since 1776. And that American business, if America moved forward, American business would move forward. You didn't have to worry about what stock to buy. You didn't have to worry what day to get in and out. You didn't know the Federal Reserve would exist, whatever it might be. And America works.
So many people ask me all the time, Logan, I have some disposable income, I have some spare change. Where can I park that money safely, not in something so crazy and volatile that's safe and has a good track record? Well, an index fund is going to be a good option for you. And before I show you my actual investment in the fund, I'm going to be showing you some charts, some quick stats, some facts about this fund, so that way you get a better idea of what we're dealing with. Because before investing in anything, whether it be a small company, a large company, something that your friend told you to invest in, you always want to do your due diligence and look into what you're actually putting your money in and who is controlling it, and do you have control of your money, and how much can you actually do to have a say in your investment. So without further ado, I'm going to be showing you my 10-month update of my investment in VOO, or VOO, the S&P 500 index fund. Let's dive right in. So here we have the chart for VOO, or the Vanguard S&P 500 index fund. And so you can see by the chart here that if you look at the 1 year, it has a very, very steady, nice growth. And overall, of course, the 5-year looks even better. And if you were to drag that there over 5 years, that'd be a 60% return, which is more than the average for 5 years. Again, in 5 years from now, it could drop 60%. This is all the risk that you take when investing, of course, but very, very nice steady growth. And if you look here, it does say the dividend yield is 1.27% annually, which is very, very good. And here I have it up on E-Trade. This is just like the profile of the stock per se. Now here it actually says the yield is 1.80%. I'll actually have to check on that to see which is the correct yield. E-Trade is usually the more accurate one as opposed to Google Stats. And here they give you a little read-up of the strategy of this S&P 500 index fund. It's focused on large cap stocks, and you can see it tracks the performance of the Standard & Poor's 500 index, or the S&P 500 index. And the advisor attempts to replicate the target index by investing all or substantially all of its assets in the stocks that make up the index, holding each stock in approximately the same proportion as it's weighing in the index. And let me tell you some history here of the quarter end and month end returns since inception in 2010, as well as the 1 year, 3 year, and 5 year numbers. And here's what I was talking about here. This expense ratio is very low. It's only 0.03%. But when you end up having a lot of money in it over time, that ends up being a good chunk of change out of your fund. So you want to make sure that when you are investing in an index fund, no matter what you're attempting to track, that it does have a low cost ratio. This is very, very close. It's almost zero. So it tells you the inception date and the total net assets of the entire fund that they're managing, which is $132.4 billion in assets. Now what's cool about E-Trade is that you can even set price alerts. I don't know why you'd want to do this in the case of this fund, but you could set alerts when it hits a certain number, and you can set that alert. But again, for something like this is a long-term investment. You wouldn't really want to do that with something like this. And it does tell you the fund family is Vanguard. Vanguard is basically the creator of this fund, and they manage this fund. And then it tells you the ex-dividend date and the dividend payable date that you would have to be in the fund by to receive that next dividend. So I am, of course, within that time frame, as I've been in this for several months now. And if you really wanted to look at these charts here right on E-Trade, you can just click on More Performance right here, and they'll actually give you some very, very technical stats and indicators right here. And these calendar year percentage returns, you could see exactly how much it returned every single year. So 2019 was a very, very good big year for the market. That was a huge percentage return for the year. It's not going to be like that every year, of course. So now I actually have my portfolio open for VU, and before I reveal the actual total gain dollar-wise that I've made and percentage-wise and how much money I have invested in it, let's just see the history of here of how long it did take to build up this amount of money in this index fund. So I started here on April 12th, 2019, started investing in this fund. And like I said, this is the most money I have in any asset in all my portfolios combined. So even more than my Roth IRA or any company that I own, this fund right here I have the most money in. So as you can see here, starting April 12, 2019, I had a bit of money left over that I just poured some into this fund right away. And I paid $266 and almost 10 cents back in the good old days when the fund was a lot cheaper. Quantity 32 shares of this. And E-Trade gives you a really good breakdown of exactly how much you've made per purchase. So you can see here on just that gain alone, just those 32 shares, not any other shares I bought since then, but just those 32 shares, that total gain has been over $1,400 and over 16% of a return. But of course, I have purchased a lot more since then, and since the limit of the Roth IRA has increased since 2019, I started to invest more so in my Roth IRA, and of course, as other prices of stocks get a lot more expensive as well, it only leaves so much of my income left over to invest in this. So I actually haven't touched this fund since, as you can see here, January 9th is the last time I invested in it, but I will be putting some money in it soon as I start to fill up the 2020 year for my Roth IRA. But what's good about E-Trade when it comes to investing in index funds is they allow you to invest in fractions of these shares. And so, as you can see here in July, I invested in just a fraction of it right here. And again, it tells you exactly how much I made specifically on that one purchase, not the total, but just specifically. So that would be $11 and change on that one purchase. But now really the moment we've all been waiting for after 10 months of investing in this index fund and the total gain from it and how many shares I have total. If we drop this down here and zoom in on it, you could see I have purchased a total of over 122 shares of this index fund here. So that equates to be, I'll have to minus the total gain dollar-wise from this number. But total with all gains included, I have just about $38,000 in this fund total. And the total gain since 10 months ago has been over 15%, which is very good considering that is less than a year. And the average return for an S&P 500 index fund is just about 10%. It's like 9.9%. So over 15% is very, very good. And that number was actually higher. It's since then took a little dip a few months ago. And the total gain I have made after 10 months of investing in the S&P 500 index fund VU, Vanguard's VU, is almost $5,000, $4,981.33, which is a damn good return. Obviously, you cannot find that at the banks or any other kind of asset you could show me it, you won't find it. So that's very impressive growth there for simply just investing in something and clicking a few buttons and moving your money into this fund. So very, very impressive growth. But I am curious to know what you are invested in, so I want to hear it down below. Tell me in the comments, what do you have your money in? Where are you invested? Are you just starting to save your money, putting it in the bank? Or do you have it in some risky assets? Are you putting it in safe things? Tell me all the details down below. But I do hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up, smash that like button. And if you'd like to see more videos from my channel, I post videos every single week covering business, finance, entrepreneurship, mindset, strategy, and tips and tricks from my own experience. Be sure that you subscribe. I post videos every single week without fail. And if you'd like to be first in line to see that video before anyone else, be sure that you hit that little notification bell as well, so that we're notified every time I make a new one. See you in the next video.